Hello, and welcome to Season 2 of Sunday Sweet Chats. My name is Charles K. Carter, and I'm a queer poet who currently lives in Oregon. I'm the author of Read My Lips from David Robert Books, as well as several chapbooks, including Artificial Sweetness from Finishing Line Press. But that's enough about me. Let's talk about our sweet guest today and discuss some sweet, sweet poetry. Hello, Anthony. I am super excited to have you. You're one of my first, poetry connections. We were press buddies for our first chapbooks. So I'm super excited to be here. Can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Well, thank you for having me. And yeah, my name is Anthony or A.R. Arthur, and I'm a mixed race poet and writer. I'm currently based somewhere between Kuwait and the Netherlands because I'm always splitting my time now. But yeah, as Charles said, we both were pressmates for our first chapbooks. Since then, I've had two more chapbooks and a novel come out. And as well as a variety of editorial roles. So just to preface this sort of interview, please submit to Chestnut Review, to Full House, to Couple Quarterly, and to Fahmidan for when we're open. We're always looking for subs. So yeah.
Thank you again. Before we get too much into poetry and the literary stuff, since it's Sunday Sweet Chats, we have to know, what is a sweet treat that you enjoy that satisfies your sugary urges when you have them?
Well, I have to say the older I've gotten, as someone who is on the diabetic spectrum, I stopped having a lot of sugar. But one thing I absolutely can't live without, is something from the Netherlands. It's called a tompoes, and it's like a millefeuille. I don't know, like a French style millefeuille, but way better. Because I think the Dutch do everything better, personally. And I get it from this supermarket called Albert Heijn, and that is an institution in itself. Like everyone goes there every day because it's that good. Yeah, and it's like a millefeuille with like this whipped cream and custard and like this very thin strawberry or raspberry icing on top. Um, and yeah, I'd love to get that. I actually a few days ago introduced my best friend to it in Amsterdam, and she was obsessed. So yeah, that's my favorite sweet treat.
Awesome. Let's move on to some sweet, sweet poetry. You have a poem to read for us. Go for it.
Yes, of course. All right, so the poem I'm going to read now, sorry, just give me 1 second. Okay, it's called Order. I've come back to this poem quite a lot recently just because it took me a long time to get it published, but it is also a poem that I feel very connected to. So, we drown daily in a deluge of distortions and images, widely disseminated narratives of wanton carnage. Until desensitized, we submit to banal brutality, destruction universally felt and aggressively driven by olden men whose desire for legacy spills over into baseless jargon, and a maelstrom of violence counted in drained corpses, awashed in disturbed concrete for fragmented promises, are lost on the departed, just as diplomacy is lost on the living. But one can hear the decay breaking saturated soil, churning to the sound of morality lost, to world orders diminished, now shattered. And that came out, I believe, in February of this year. I think this came out in, I want to say, Dark Winter Literary. Yeah.
Thank you. That's a beautiful piece. Great. I was really thinking about the patriarchy with that and how toxic that is, but the great sound elements. And we're going to make sure we get your TikTok in the video description, because I've recently followed you on TikTok. I'm not a huge TikTok person, but I'm trying to do it more and more. And you have a great reading voice, and I love when your thing pops up in my feed, even though I don't get on there too often. But I love when your poems pop up in your feed. You have a very great reading voice. Thank you for
Thank you so
sharing.
much.
So today you wanted to talk a little bit about some of the different journals you are associated with and some of the exciting things going on there.
Yeah, so I have been with Chestnut Review now for 3 years at the end of this August, and it has definitely been very much a home to me. I love Chestnut Review, and I always joke and I always say it's not, the 1 year plan or the 2 year plan. It's like the 5 or 10 year plan. Like I will be at Chestnut Review. So the last year has been very, very interesting because we've constantly grown. The last couple of years, but this last year has been quite a lot of changes at CR. We're open for chapbooks more often now. we have quite a large staff. We're training new readers. We have new poetry editors as well, which is a new thing. So yeah, so it's been a very, very hectic period, as well as serving my own interim period as a sole poetry editor, which was very, very hectic, but a lovely, lovely experience with just a great team. I absolutely love working with our editor-in-chief and managing editor and our prose editors, and of course our readers. I'm extremely proud of all of them. So I think the one thing I'd say is submit. We're always open for free submissions. We offer, workshops, myself and Maria, we offer a great deal of feedback from several editors and readers alike. And we're always looking for writing that sort of breaks the mold and stands out. And we also pay $120. Full House as well, where I'm reviews editor. If you're ever looking to have your collection reviewed, send it over. And Fahmidan is actually in the process of expanding. And we will be sort of, I hate to say the term relaunching, because we're not really relaunching. We just had an issue come out, but sort of moving towards a new format, moving towards hopefully some simplifying of submission processes, but also moving towards paying writers, which is something we spent the last 3 years working very hard with no funding to try to achieve. And it has been a very much an upward battle. And I'd also say Cutbow, I believe, is open again. I want to say next month. So on the 1st, so submit. And otherwise, yeah, just submit everywhere and submit as much as possible. Something I always say to my workshop participants is, it's absolutely fine to, get rejected and submit somewhere 1,000 times, as long as you keep trying. There is one journal, and I know that they know me at this point, because one of their editors made a comment about it to me recently as I worked with them. And they said that they admire the fact that I keep submitting, and I've had a few personal rejections from them, which has made it a better experience. So I'm hoping now that I'm past 20 rejections, I can hopefully get there by 30. So my point is that yes, please submit. We'd love to read your writing.
Yeah, and I think just as a submitter, as a poet who's submitting, yeah, it's sometimes hard to gauge that stuff, and rejection is just part of the game, and there's so much behind the scenes. Like, I've had personal rejections that are like, we loved this, but we have something that's too similar at this time. So there's so many different reasons, and we oftentimes don't know, and oftentimes staff don't have the time to give all that personal feedback. But yeah, keep submitting. And it resonated with me when you introduced your poem about how you struggled to place that one. Because I've had those that are like, this is great. This is one of my favorites. Why isn't anybody picking it up?
Yeah, no, it's very, very common. And I have to say as well, I mean, we at all the places I worked at, I've seen people who submit work. I think, gosh, it's probably at least 10 plus places I've worked at now. I can't even remember all of them at this point. But I know, looking back at reading at so many of the places I've worked at, Kissing Dynamite, Lupercalia, Lazy Adventure, Fahmidan, and elsewhere, as both as a reader, as an editor, and also thirdly as social media. I've always seen this great determination by writers to get published. And as someone with over 2,000 rejections in their literary career, and as someone with over 250 publications now, I can actually say genuinely that hard work and constantly submitting does pay off. It's just about how you develop your willpower to get through it. That's what I'd say. But yeah.
Thank you so much. One more question before we wrap up here. In a world that is so salty sometimes, what keeps you sweet?
Well, I'm a firm believer in getting on with it. I have a very, very British perspective. I may also be American, but I have a very, and Kuwaiti, of course, but I have a very British perspective, which is, you turn the other cheek and you get on with life. As someone who's had to deal with a lot of intersectional struggles, has had a very, very dysfunctional upbringing, and a lot of cultural, religious, social, economic, clashing things, as well as a lot of challenging autoimmune conditions. I can honestly say at this point, the one thing that has got me through is just the consistency of my sort of mindset, but also working towards finding comfort, finding relief in simple things. So for me, I absolutely love to work out like a lot of people do. Also stems from the fact that I used to be about double the weight that I am now, being undiagnosed with the illnesses I had. And I also really, really appreciate walking. Some people listening to this will laugh because I'm one of those friends that goes, oh, it's 10 kilometers, it's a short walk. I just did it to my best friend. Poor lady, she walked about 30,000 steps in a day, which is still under my minimum in the Netherlands, but it was an experience for her. So I have to say walking is great. And I'd also like to encourage everyone to go to the Netherlands. I say this all the time. CR is also doing a retreat next year that I will be hosting with our editor-in-chief to the Netherlands for writers. But yeah, I think every writer should go to the Netherlands and walk 40K steps a day for like a week. Just walk and walk and walk and write. So yeah, I will leave it at that.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, movement, super important, super good for us. And then, yeah, it sounds like a lot of hope for the future and focusing on gratitude as well. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing what keeps you sweet. Thank you for being here today, Anthony. It's such a sweet treat to have you. Thanks for tuning in to Sunday Sweet Chats, and catch another episode next Sunday. Bye, everyone.
All right, thank you.